We started the drive from Chelan Monday evening. We were headed to the Lady of the Lake ferry terminal to catch a ferry ride to Lucerne the next morning. Our goal was to climb Mount Fernow and Copper Peak via the Copper Basin, which is easily accessed through the remote town of Holden. Mount Fernow is Washington's 8th tallest summit, third for non-volcanic peaks after Mount Stewart and Bonanza Peak. Sitting at the end of a 1-mile-long ridge coming off the northeast flank of Fernow stands Copper Peak, the 19th tallest mountain in Washington, and a peak seldom climbed due to its proximity to more popular mountains like Fernow and Bonanza Peak, as well as both it and Fernow being notorious for loose, poor-quality rock. After a 4-hour ferry ride to Lucerne, an old school bus took us a half-an-hour ride up to Holden, a small Lutheran town only accessible via the ferry. From Holden, the route begins by crossing a massive tailings pile for the old Holden copper mine, located on the east foot of Copper Mountain, from which the mountain gets its name. This mine was one of the largest subsurface copper mining installations in the United States with nearly 60 miles of tunnels, which is now undergoing a $200 million restoration project. At the south end of the tailings pile, a small wooden bridge accesses the Copper Basin Trail, which runs from 3,300 feet to the basin located at about 5,500 feet. While there are numerous established routes on both Fernow and Copper Peak, the east ridge of Fernow, coupled with the east face of Copper Peak, as described in Becky's Cascade Alpine Guide Volume 2, allowed for summiting both via the same approach and avoiding the slog-in from Phelps Creek. From the basin, we ascended a gully and a talus slope to reach the Fernow Buckskin Saddle at 7,200 feet. This is where we camped the first night, with surprisingly low winds. In the north, the Devore Creek wildfire could be seen glowing at night, and briefly, the northern lights were picked up by my camera. The next day, we woke up at 7 a.m. Having little information on the route, we brought a few cams, ropes, and rappel equipment, although it turned out not to be needed. Sticking to the south side of the ridge, the route maneuvers up through the meadows with excellent views of the Entiat Cirque, a steep, cliffy valley carved by glaciers that is headed by Maud, Seven-Fingered Jack, and Fernow. At roughly 8,300 feet, the route becomes more of a scramble of a loose but well-defined ridgeline, with few Class 3 sections. The summit, sitting at just above 9,200 feet, can be gained by following this ridge. The summit provides excellent views of the east face of Glacier Peak, as well as the south side of Bonanza and the north aspects of Maud and Seven-Fingered Jack. To reach Copper Peak from Fernow, there are two main options. One is to go down the east ridge of Fernow a ways and traverse across a ridgeline directly to Copper Peak. Presumably this might save some elevation loss, but present route-finding challenges and involve rappels to get around the horns. A link to a well-documented trip report of this ridge is provided in the description. We did not get up early enough to make it across and back this ridge by nightfall, and so we opted for the east face. Getting back to camp on the Fernow Buckskin Saddle, we packed our gear and made our way down into the basin, where we found a stream crossing and traversed north along the base of Copper Peak until reaching a burned section of forest. After ascending this section and the talus slope above it, we reached a flat section at about 6,500 feet, carved out by the nearby glacier. This is where we set up camp for the night. The next morning we set out at about 7 a.m. up the steep talus. We stuck to the climber's right along sections of Class 2 solid granite, avoiding the loose pile of rocks on the left-hand side. The glacier at this time was showing signs of instability, with thin-looking snow bridges over the bergschrund and various meltwater carved tunnels. At 7,500 feet we reached a saddle on the climber's right that accessed snow ledges on the mountain's east face. Ascending the snow ledges and traversing to the northeast ridge allowed for mostly Class 3 scrambling to the top, with sections of Class 4 and a bit of exposure on the final stretch. All in all, the route up Fernow was straightforward and easy. The Copper Peak route was a bit more of a route-finding challenge, but both are manageable Class 3 to 4 climbs that can be done in a leisurely 3-day trip, or a couple long days from Holden. If you liked or found the video useful, be sure to subscribe.